Well, hello guys. Welcome back to Ray's Creek Cards. I'm Ray Henderson. By now, the crunch is on, right? It is. And in my opinion, anything that you wanted to order to use for your Christmas cards, you've pretty much run out of time, right? However, I have received a few things. I guess I kind of over-ordered a little bit to use for Christmas cards that I haven't been able to use. And so, one of the latest things that I got was from Pink Fresh Studios. This is a 7-layer stencil. It is called Poinsettia Frame. Now, along with the stencil, you can get the stamp set, you can get dies, and there's even a press plate. Guys, I bit the bullet. I have ordered a better press system. Whether I get it before Christmas or not, I could care less. But I did order one. I have just seen so many people use it, and I have just been so intrigued. For a long time, I didn't care about it, so stay tuned for that because I will be sure to show it to you in a video coming up. Okay, so we're going to use the stencil set. I didn't order the stamp set or even the press plate that goes with it. I did order the dies. However, can you see I've not even opened it yet? I've not even cut that part off. We're not even going to use the dies today. And even though that's all I ordered, look what they sent me for free. This is a 4-layer stencil set called Geometric Tile. Isn't that pretty? I love it. So hopefully I'll be able to show that in a video. If it's still available on their website, I will indeed do that. And right before we get started with this, and it's actually going to go really quick, these are some of the easiest stencils you'll ever use, guys. I promise. So I had told y'all in last week before last video, whichever, that I had done a whole video and never could release it. I mean, it's uploaded, but it's marked private. So unless you have the link, you can't watch it. And we made this card. And this was made with the November 2024 Hero Arts card kit of the month. Isn't that cute? And there's a little fella that'll be getting this as a Christmas card anyway. And then with that same set, there were some other children in the family that we'll be seeing on Christmas Eve. And so I had to get out the little puppy and do a card with the puppy. I had to get out the little kitty cat and do a card with the kitty cat. Now, this white glitter paper is that same from Walmart, that Pen and Gear white glimmer glitter paper. It's real soft. It's actually made to go through an inkjet printer and you can print on it. When I did the hat and the ball, they match perfectly. Like you would have thought I very daintily cut out pieces of this and glued them on. No, I didn't. I used stickles, crystal stickles, perfectly matched the background. What are the odds of that? Anyway, I was kind of delighted with how that one came out. And then there's another little fella that will be getting this card with the deer. And I'm not skilled. I'm not practiced with using white gel pen for highlights, but I did do a few on this one. And nothing to write home about, but at least I got my toe in the water, right? Okay, and I made this one for my husband. I actually put quite a bit of work into this one. No, I never did a video with it, but I love it so much. And last year, I put out a video about making Christmas sympathy cards. And this is an outfit. The sentiments come from a stamp set called Joyous Comfort, and it's by Unity Stamps. And we actually did a class using this same thing 2 or 3 months ago, because I know I'm not the only one to need something like this. And this year, we've lost 4 or 5, well, 4 or 5 people have lost their spouses, and this will be their first Christmas without them. And so then on the inside, that's what that says. And there's several sentiments in that set. But who would have thought to do a Christmas sympathy card? You're giving them a Christmas card, and it is kind of bright and festive, but the sentiments just make all the difference, right? It's like, hey, I haven't forgot about you, no matter what part of the year they lost their loved one. Maybe they even lost a daughter or a son, and this is going to be their first year without them. So I made several of these, and I didn't do a video with this set. This was a new release 3 months ago by Concord 9th, and I wasn't exactly 100% happy with my color choices. However, it's good enough to give someone if somebody kind of fell between the cracks and I didn't already send them a card. But I've already done all my mailing. All I'm going to do, I have a few to hand out in person at our Christmas Eve party, and then that'll be done. All right, let's start with these. I did play with this earlier. Let me show you the sample card that we're making. When I said vintage, is that not that vintage look? Do you remember wallpapers that looked like this, that had those tones? Isn't that sweet? So this is the card we're going to be making, and hopefully we will get through it very quickly. Now, it will tell you at the bottom, Pink Fresh 2024, Pink Fresh Studios, and Stencil 1, and I'm sure you can't see that. Guys, it is pouring down rain. If you can hear that, I'm sorry. I am grateful to have the blessing of the rain. Our summer was so dry. We desperately need the rain. These stencils are a little bigger than 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. My white panel that I have down here, I pre-cut it to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and we'll be trimming that down a little bit. And let me raise this up. I've got my sticky mat from Waffle Flower. This was the original, and I'm still loving it, and it's still working really well for me. So the very first stencil, you're starting out with your foliage, and I am bringing in my Distress Oxide Cracked Pistachio. I'm going to try to leave a lid where you can see the name of it. And we're going to get this going. And it's easy and it's quick, and this is one of the easy stencil sets. I love these when they make them this easy for us. And you do want to remember, go one way and then go back the other way to make sure you're not missing anything. Don't worry if you have some areas that are darker than others. That actually adds to the tonality of it. Just make sure you get good coverage, but I'm going to whip through this just as quick as I can to try to make sure that this video isn't any longer than it has to be, and it does just take a hot minute. Our Christmas party that I hold every year, this was our 3rd year, for the ladies who come to my card classes, and also the ladies who have got a card ministry at church. We all have our classes together. They used to be separate, and I went ahead and combined them this year because even, both groups of women are such good friends. That's how I would want it anyway. And now I'm looking. That right there is a little light. And I hope my lighting is okay. I've kind of backed off on my big light to prevent any glare. And I'll take these to the kitchen sink after the video, and I'll give them a nice light rinse and pat them gently dry. So I'm done with cracked pistachio. I won't need that anymore. And then I'm going to bring in my Distress Oxide pine needles. I'm going to set up that second stencil that has the detail for the leaves. And one of the things that you are going to notice, and I'm looking everywhere, going to have to kind of finagle it just a bit. You will notice that there's going to be some areas outside of where we just were. However, I don't want it so far off. All right, I'm looking. Let me sketch this over a little bit. And I think we're good. I think we're good right there. Double checking. Double checking. Just to make sure I'm not too far off kilter in any direction. Okay. All right, I think that's good. Let me press this down and we'll get to town with the pine needles. Can you even see what it's called? Let me move it right there. And so now we're just going to go in with the pine needles. Remember to go back and forth. But the Christmas party came out so well. I almost burned the rolls. But we had tons of fun. One lady brought a pecan pie, homemade no less. Oh, that was amazing. I made a banana split cake for a dessert. One lady brought a yummy, yummy salad. Yummy salad. And a couple of them gave me gifts. In fact, the lady who did the homemade pecan pie brought me a bag of goodies, and I was blown away. I will talk about that more in another video. Now, I'm looking very quickly before I take this all the way up. Ah, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? It's beautiful. Now I'm going to go in with that first layer for the flower and get this set up. I'm looking at where my berries are. I want to make sure they're lined up as well. And let me sketch this over a little bit. And that's good there. That's good there. I'm looking, guys. I actually went faster with this the very first time I used it than what I am this time. So let me get this going down here. I've got it too crooked. I need to straighten myself up. There we go. I think we're good. I think we are good right there. I think so. Do I need to move it over this way a little bit? Possibly. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the top part. And then if I need to, I'll reshift it for down at the bottom. But honestly, I don't think I'm going to need to. I don't think I'm going to need to. And I didn't the first time either on the other card. All right, let's put away pine needles. Get my brush put away. And I'm going to bring in Distress Oxide Saltwater Taffy. And we're going to get that first layer put down. I've got the big brush from Hero Arts. This is their big one. I relegate all my Hero Art brushes to my Distress Oxides. And you don't have to worry because you want the berries and your base petals to be the same color. Or if you don't, then, you know, tape it off and do something different. But there is going to be more detail given to these berries before all is said and done. And because this is such a light color, I'm making sure I'm getting good coverage, especially with those small berries. I want to make sure that that first layer is detailed, even with the light color. Well, we just had such a good time. I think it was one of the better ones we've ever had. But it was a time for us to come together, swap cards, and just enjoy each other with some good food. I must have had some ink on my hands. Hopefully I'll be able to cover that up. I don't know if you can see it, but I have a faint bit of green right there, which is not the end of the world. Got some little berries right here. And now I've got to look back over everything. Make sure. I think I've got pretty good coverage. It's a little pale right there. You may not be able to see it, but I can. And of course, it would be so easy to start out darker in the middle and then feather it out if that's a look you wanted. You could do that. Stencils are not all confining. Okay, for my second color, I am bringing in Abandoned Coral. So let me peel off stencil number 3. We're going to go to number 4. Get this on here, and this will be your dark highlights for your flower and your berries. Kind of lining it up more so with the berries than I am anything else. Let me see here. See what I'm doing? I got to go all the way around this visually. Okay. Okay. Bring that in just a bit. We're good. We are good. And whoever designed this set is genius. You'll see that the berries aren't going to be like right on top of each other, but there will be more that we will add to the berries here in a minute. There's another layer that helps fill that in even more. And now we're going to go in with the Abandoned Coral. That filled in really well. You want good definition in your layers, especially if they are colors that are kind of close to each other in tonality. But this is just so much fun to play with. I love it. I thought this was a beautiful, beautiful set, and you don't have to have all the things. You don't even have to have the dies. If all you wanted was a stencil set like what we're using today, you would be good to go. What a cost saver in our supplies just to get a good set of stencils and go with. Now, I'm going back and I'm checking, making sure that looks pretty good. All right, that was stencil number 4. And wait, it gets better. Here is stencil number 5. And so at this point, this is going to be the middle of your flower. And it will be some extra tonality on your berries. Now that one was actually super, super easy. Okay, we're going to put up the Abandoned Coral. And I'm going to bring in... Originally, I used worn lipstick and it faded into the background too much. So I'm bringing in my Crackling Campfire, which is an orangey red. And I don't have to have a big brush for this layer. Now, here, you have a choice. You don't have to do the middle of the flowers the same thing you do your berries with, okay? And we're not going to. So I'm just going to use this. I don't have to tape anything off. No masking is necessary. Like I said, this is just a genius stencil. Okay. Got that. I think that looks pretty good. Let's make sure. Just because they're little doesn't mean that... Okay. And... just for good measure, I'm going to take a piece of paper towel and get up the worst that's on there. Let me just spritz a little water on here. Get that a little wet. Just gently wipe that off so I don't bring it in when I do the middle of the flowers. So for the middle of the flowers, I am bringing in Distress Oxide Wild Honey. And this tone went so well in keeping that vintage look that I was going for. So we're just doing the middle of the flowers. Right there. And I think that's it. I know the ink on the stencil looks really bright, but it won't be that bright in the middle of the flowers. And do not fear, your flower middles are going to look so much better than the blobs that they look like right now. Okay. And did I mess up by doing the crackling campfire? So, may have messed that up a little bit. Maybe I was supposed to do the worn lipstick. That's okay. We're lined up here. And I know you can't see it on the screen, but around the middles, there is bits and pieces of stencil so that it will kind of break up that middle and make it look more realistic. Since I went ahead and used crackling campfire, I am going to find my lumberjack plaid to do this layer with, and so it won't look exactly the same if I can find it. Ah, is that it? Nope. I've got 2 tins here, and I try to keep color families together, but I had all of my reds just about out of there, so we're going to use lumberjack plaid for that part. And it'll be interesting, since I messed up, kinda, sorta, to see how the two compare. The one I did before the video and the one I'm doing with you now. Okay. I'm going to put that in there. And I'm going a little lightish. I'm not like just really going to town filling that in. There we go. We're almost there. And then I want you to see the other stroke of genius that is in this set of stencils. I've never had a set of stencils like these. I have never had. Okay, go the other way. Go the other way. Go the other way. Okay. All right. So here is this. Oh, that's not bad. That's still kind of keeping that vintagey vibe. Let me lift this up and show you how now the middle of the flower is not just one circular blob. Do you see that? Isn't that gorgeous? It's gorgeous. I think so. I think it is. How about a background stencil? Especially if you don't order the dies or don't want to die cut it to achieve a no-line watercolor look like I have here. Okay, so we have just gone through, in a matter of minutes, we have gone through 7 stencils. Well, this is the 7th one. And of course, you wouldn't have to use this if you didn't want to. But can you imagine doing this in brighter, bolder colors and maybe doing a black background? Wouldn't that be pretty? That would be so pretty. Okay, I'm looking to see where I'm at here. Am I okay? I'm pretty good. It's not perfect, but it doesn't have to be. Whoops, and then it slipped. Careful. I had it. I was ready to press it down. And I moved it. I moved it. I think we're good. I think we are good. think we're pretty close here. Yeah, we're good. We are good. Now, I'm coming in with a real pale blue, so I'm bringing in Distress Oxide Tumbled Glass. This brush is actually part of a Yosing. They've gotten very, very popular over the years on Amazon. They're actually really good brushes. They're well made, and as hard as I can be on my brushes, I have yet to break one. And I didn't have quite enough Hero Art brushes, even though I've got quite a few. I don't have quite enough for my Distress Oxide colors. And so we're just going to put this in. I'm going to go a little darker around the edges, and then we'll make it softer in the middle. But this, I swear, this is the color of blue that I can remember seeing on some of those old-fashioned wallpapers and Christmas cards. And once upon a time, I had a bunch of postcards that was from my grandma and grandpa to each other. I lost them in a move somewhere along the way. And so, I haven't had them in years. I mean, when you have a move, why can't, maybe a drinking glass get broke or, something she probably didn't care about but hadn't got rid of yet. So I've got that kind of dark, and now we're going to start coming in and making it lighter in the middle. But is this not easy? And if you have light and dark areas, don't let it bother you. My first one did too, and you probably didn't even notice it, did you? Probably not. And if you wanted to make the whole thing a dark blue, you can. See, stencils don't just confine you to one little set of rules. Your creativity can actually intervene and make it all you looky there. Is that not gorgeous? You don't have to use a background stamp if you don't want to. You don't. Okay. Now, let me just pick this up, move all this over to the side, and bring up my trimmer, because I'm going to cut this panel, but I'm not going to cut it the way you think I'm going to cut it, okay? I want this at 5 1/4, and I've got a little white edge on this side, so we're going to take that off. So I want to go to 5 1/4, and that's quite a bit to take off of one side. So I'm going to move it up to 5 3/8 and take that little bit off. Then I'm going to flip it around, and now I will go to 5 1/4. Okay. And now I'm going to trim it to 4 inches. So let's go. That's my 5. I want it to 4 inches so I can get rid of that white edge. But I don't want all of it off of one side. And you can't really see what I'm seeing here. So I'm going to take it up to 4 1/8. And take 1/8 of an inch off of that side. And I'm going to take 1/8 of an inch off of this side. Sorry, guys. I thought somebody might be at my door. Sorry. And there could be somebody out there leaving a package. I don't know. Isn't that gorgeous? Isn't that pretty? I love it. Now, I have a white card base that is 4 1/4 by 11 and scored at 5 1/2. And I'm going to take a little piece of tape and put on the inside. This is some of that temporary adhesive, that mint tape from scrapbook.com. And I'm just going to do that so that it will kind of lay flat for me. This is a landscape card. And so I'm going to have it landscape. However, I wanted a little something under it, but I didn't want to do the traditional 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, okay? So I found a piece of cardstock. I've told y'all before, I've got quite a bit of Stampin' Up cardstock, and this is Stampin' Up's Crushed Curry. But I also want you to notice what a perfect match that is to the center of the flowers. Is that not perfect? So this panel here is actually cut 4 1/8 by 5 1/8 because the only part of this yellow that you're going to see is at the top and bottom. So let me show you here before we glue it down. It's actually going to go edge to edge, but you're going to have a little bit of that yellow at the top and the bottom showing. So let's go ahead and get this on here. And then all we have left to do is the sentiment, and it won't take long to get that done. It won't. And, you know, I just filled these bottles up with you last week, and already I've just about used half of that bottle. Amazing how quick it goes, right? Okay. Now, I want a little bit of white showing at the top and the bottom, just a skinny bit, but we're going to have whiter white margins, but I do want some white showing. And then we're going to take this, and you're going to see a little bit of yellow at the top and the bottom, but not side to side. Does that make sense yet before we get it down? Okay, so my sides are covered up by cutting that panel just a little bit less. And let me finagle this to where my yellow is pretty even on the top and the bottom. Okay, a little bit of glue right there. Get that up. Okay, now you've got the white border, but you've also got a hint of that yellow coming out that matches the center of the flowers. And let's get our sentiment done. Now what I did is I took another piece of cardstock. Let me try to make sure I don't let this get clogged up. And I brought in my Distress Oxide, my Uncharted Mariner, and I just ink blended until I felt like it was good and dark. We're going to take our embossing powder, well, not embossing powder, or anti-static powder. I'll call it what it's supposed to be called. Treat that a little bit. Get that on there. And what did I do with my Misty? Did I bury it? I know it's here. Ah, here it is. So here's my Misty. And for the sentiment, like I said, needs to be a thank you card. And y'all have seen me use this set before, but it's from Lawn Fawn. It's called the Big Scripty Words Long Cuts. Look at all those cute, cute sentiments. And you have some little birds too, which I thought was a cute little touch if you wanted to put that on there. I'm going to go ahead and get out my thanks die because we will need that here in a minute. And I'm keeping this card just as simple as I can, just as quick as I can, so that hopefully it'll give you some ideas. And if you decide to order this to use for Christmas next year, you absolutely can. So I may have to redo that thanks stamp because it's still where it was when I did my sample card. Oh yeah, we're in where it's dark blue, and I'm going to take my Versamark, move some of this out of the way. Let me sketch this over a little bit. Hopefully you can see a little better what I'm doing here. Oh my, I just don't have a whole lot of room where I do this at, guys, and I apologize for that. Wish I was a little bit more organized. I'm actually organized. I just run out of room here with all the ink pads and ink brushes, and I'm just using Versamark. It's not the only brand out there. You just want a good clear sticky ink, and I'm going to do that 3 times just to make sure. And cover my little pad back up, and my white embossing powder. Here a while back I was watching a video and a lady had a lunch meat container she was reusing too for embossing powders, and I just thought that was kind of funny. Okay, hopefully I got enough anti-static powder on there. We'll see. hopefully. Let's move this. I can't stand to get embossing powder in my Misty, because then I have to take everything apart and scrub everything down. I really didn't want to do that if I don't have to. That came out really well. You see how well their powder tool works? Isn't that awesome? And that's if you get enough of that anti-static powder down. When I'm by myself and I'm doing this, I have gotten to where I actually put my container in the floor. I do. And I do it down there. That way there I know I don't have any powder going anywhere else. So at this point, the dreaded heat tool noise, and I'm trying to hold it away from the microphone as best I can, and we'll get this heated up and going. I'm really thinking that my heat tool is now starting to take longer to heat up than what it ever used to. So let me check it. Well, it may be ready. Let me see what we can do here. Is that turning? Is that melting? Now it is. You see how it's getting a brighter white as I go across? Okay. I'm going to look at that very closely. You will know if you get ready to get into heat embossing, if you don't already do it. You'll learn. But if it's powdery looking anywhere and not shiny looking, when it's shiny, it's done. And I don't see any powdery areas, so I think we are good there. Now, y'all know I'm in a big habit now, as many of us are, at doing layered die cuts to give them more dimension. I'm not doing that this time, guys. I'm not, because on top of Christmas cards, when you have thank you cards to send out too, you know, unless you just go ahead and just buy you some simple thank you cards. And I'm looking at my tails at each end of the thanks. I want to make sure I don't cut that off. I love this set so much. Okay, I'm good there. I'm good there. And I've got some used mint tape that this might have enough sticky left to hold this down, I hope. Sure don't want that to move because it's so fine. And I'm bringing in my wonderful Hero Arts compact cutter. And we're going to run this through. And we'll be ready to put that on top. And we're done. Hallelujah. Guys, I won't be here next week. Y'all have a very Merry Christmas. We all still have so much on us. And I wish I had the time to do more for you. But I'm taking next week off. I'm just flat taking it off. But I should be back the week after. New Year's Eve will have already happened by the time I am back with you. Look at that. Isn't that precious? Now, and I don't know if you noticed this. So, we used tumbled glass here on this background. And if you look at the edges here where it didn't get completely filled in, the tonality is very close when you just barely put down that Uncharted Mariner, which is why I picked that for my sentiment background. And I am going to put my thanks back in its case. I would cry if I lost one. That would be heartbreaking. All right, we're going to get the cutter out of the way. And I'm not doing the inside of the card with you guys. I am not. I'm going to lay that just right there in the middle. How sweet. How simple. How festive. Uh-oh. I forgot. There are some little pokey bits here that didn't come out that I need to poke out. At least they didn't stay in the die. All right, have I got them all? Yep, I think now I've got them all. Okay, now, doesn't that look better where you can see a little bit of that light blue coming through? So we're going to glue it down, and we're done. We are done. Maybe you have a different stencil that is winter themed or holiday themed that you could make your own thank you card out of. Wouldn't need to do any die cutting of the stenciled part. And I want you to notice, because that's what I entitled my video, that this is like a no-line coloring look. Because A, I didn't order the stamp set, but even if I had it, I wouldn't have used it. That's not straight. Let me straighten that out. Make sure that's straight on there. Am I straight? I always have to hold it up and look. All right, look at that no-line coloring. And just for the minute, there's nothing down here I don't think that's going to glare. Let me bring in a little bit more light so that you can really see that. But because we heat embossed, that automatically gave some dimension to our sentiment. If you want to, cut a couple extra layers of cardstock and put behind the things, you can. You know I do that a lot. But I was just trying to keep it fast and simple today. Oh, I love this so much. Go through your inks, go through your stencils, and see what you've got to make you some very quick thank you cards. If you need to wait until after Christmas to do them, you absolutely can. But oh my goodness, guys, I love that so much. I'm going to put a link below to all the things that I used in today's video. And I forgot to leave a link to Wendy Cranford's Creative Vault in my last video. I can't believe I did that. Wendy Cranford is offering you a free 21-day trial. Guys, that is seriously generous. I tend to be very generous and very giving. People that know me in person will tell you that. However, I don't know that I'd give anybody a 21-day free trial. 7 days maybe. 21 days? And we've already had a couple of live Zooms this month. We've had an actual live. You won't see the Zoom recordings in the vault because what happens in the vault stays in the vault. If you want to be in on some of the behind-the-scenes chit-chat and things that we are free to discuss, go give it a check out. Absolutely do. Tomorrow, we are having our second and final live of the month. How Wendy is doing all this on top of all her Christmas responsibilities, I don't know. But anyway, guys, have a very, very Merry Christmas. Have a very blessed New Year. And I will see you in a couple of weeks. Y'all take care. Be blessed. God is love. Bye.